Tonight on Stateline, we bring you another debate, this time on Victoria's economy. The Treasurer, John Lenders, and the opposition spokesman, Kim Wells, debate their policies and the state's debt, and planning for the future of Melbourne.
The continual urban sprawl is going to be the end of Melbourne as a great city.
Hello, welcome to Stateline. I'm Josephine Cafagna. In studio I have the Treasurer John Lenders and Shadow Treasurer Kim Wells. Gentlemen, welcome to Stateline. Kim Wells, first question to you. You're the alternative Treasurer. You don't seem to have much of a profile, certainly with the public. Where have you been?
Well, can I say that unlike John Lenders, who has hundreds and hundreds of Treasury experts and hundreds of spin doctors, we don't have that ability to do that. We have a staff of 3 that do all of our election promises and commitments and costings. So we've been working on that to make sure that the policies are right, the costings are right, and that we have the right policies to fix the mess that Labor are going to leave behind.
But do you agree you don't have much of a public profile?
Well, the situation is that we've been working for a significant amount of time to make sure that our election commitments are correct and that they are going to be the right policies to move Victoria forward.
John Lenders, a question to you. Surely being a good economic manager, as you boast of being, includes being prudent with spending, not wasting money. How do you explain the $1 billion cost overrun on Mikey, the $2 billion cost overrun on the diesel plant, $1.6 billion for the smart meters, fast rail blowouts, and the list goes on? Is that good economic management?
I'll start, Josephine, with the fast rail. It's something that Mr Wells and the media often comment on and say that that was a cost blowout. Yes, the costs of the fast rail were more than we forecast when we were in opposition. But we now have fast rail to Ballarat, Bendigo, Geelong to Latrobe Valley. The system is running, the commuters are using it, and I think there's a lesson for Mr Wells in this. We put that figure out in opposition uncosted. If Jeff Kennett had let us use Treasury costs the fast rail proposals, we'd have a better idea. So there's a lesson in there.
What about Mikey?
That is absolute rubbish. Look, they're responsible for more than $11 billion of cost overruns. You look at the desalination plant, you look at Mikey. I mean, this card here represents $1 billion of cost overruns. You look at the desalination plant, so you're looking at over $11 billion of cost overruns, and this man is responsible. Those costings should have been done in Treasury. The scoping should have been done in Treasury. The business case management should have been done in Treasury. He lost control of it, and that's why we're going to be paying for it for generations to come.
What do you say to that?
I'll answer that specifically. We talked about the regional fast rail, something the Liberal government closed. Mr Wells voted for the train service. We brought it back. We put the services in and they did cost more. We had to put new safety standards in, but they did cost more. But the significant part there is we factored in $80 million in opposition. And Mr Wells says we should have got Treasury to cost it. Well, I challenge him now. Get Treasury to cost your proposals under the system that John Howard put in place, and we'll know for sure.
But just a moment, we'll get to that.
Mr Wells, can you just, I'll give you a chance in a moment. Can we just deal with the issue of cost overruns before we go on to costings? Do you acknowledge that part of good economic management is not wasting money, and Mikey is one example of that? Absolutely.
And I think also, Josephine, you never hear from Mr Wells a Hallam bypass. Like many of our projects, a road...
But on Mikey...
But a road that was $10 million under budget...
No, but you're not answering on Mikey.
You
took a lane off that.
Of schedule.
Well, it's supposed to be 3 lanes, you cut down to 2 lanes.
Clearly, Mikey, the Premier said it, I've said it. You know, we're embarrassed by Mikey. There's no issue about it. And we're learning from it and we're delivering programs. If we go back to the regional fast rail that Mr Wells started with, that was a project that if the Treasury had have costed it, we would have known the costings. Opposition...
All right, well, let's go. Your final comment on that. I want to move on.
Yes. If he says he's going to learn from the regional fast rail, then why didn't he learn when it came to the desalination plant? Why don't you give us an explanation of why you didn't learn from that first experience and you have a cost overrun of more than $2 billion on the desalination plant? Pretty fair sort of question for the people of Victoria.
All right, now can we move on to the issue of costings? Now, the government says that your election promises total about $9 billion so far. Will you put your costings up for scrutiny by Treasury? If not, why not?
Okay, we will not give our costings to Treasury because we don't trust him. We don't trust John Lenders. He's part of the ALP Dirt Unit, who advises Nick Rees in at the ALP. So we can't possibly...
So who's going to do your costings?
Let me get to that point. The second point is, in 1999, 2002, 2006, Labor didn't give their policies to Treasury. They gave them to an outside accounting firm. And the third point is, if Labor give their costing to Treasury to do the research and the analysis, then they're asking them to do the independent verification as well. That's a clear conflict of interest. That just simply doesn't make any sense.
So, Mr Wells, who'll do your costings and when?
We're having our costings independently verified.
Who by?
And we'll make those announcements, and we'll make those announcements in the run up to the election. There's no question about that, and we'll hand over whatever figures are required. But it'll be open, it'll be transparent, and it'll be independently verified to make sure that the people of Victoria...
In 2002, Robert Doyle handed over these figures every day as to what their costings were. Mr Wells and Mr Baillieu aren't doing that. So in 2002, the Liberal Party put a daily sheet up of their costings. Today, they're hiding that. And, the method he talks about the Treasury, this is John Howard, Peter Costello and Tony Nutt's model, and I never see it.
Mr Lenders, is it true that in 99, 02 and 06 that you, the Labor Party, didn't put your costings into Treasury?
Well, what we had in those was we put our costings out like the Liberals did then,
where they
put them out daily. This is 2010, Josephine. The Labor Party did not do that. The Liberal Party has backed off the transparency at them. But the point is, 2010 we had a federal election where the debate was over Treasury costings. We agreed to do it. And of course, the federal independents exposed what Tony Abbott was doing by not submitting it to Treasury. They had a $10 billion black hole.
So can I put to both of you? Would you agree in the next government to do what Julia Gillard has done, and that is set up an independent parliamentary budget office to scrutinise both sides of promises? Would you agree to that?
I'm interested what Mr Wells
Would you agree to that?
I can give you an even better answer. I'm happy, if you're happy, to hand over your costings and our costings to the Auditor-General next week. Why don't we do that as a bipartisan agreement? Because, as I said, we don't trust you because of your connection with the Dirt Unit, but we do trust the independence of the Auditor-General.
This is just absolute scurrilous. He's attacking the professionalism of Treasury. He's attacking individual people.
Attacking your professionalism.
Well, I don't see the figures. They go to Treasury. You're attacking independent public service.
So the Auditor-General is an independent person, and we're happy to hand them over to the Auditor-General if you're prepared to do the same. So let's make an agreement now.
Josephine, he's not saying what Robert Clark said earlier this week. It's fascinating. His Shadow Finance Minister earlier this week said they would fund this parliamentary office, and of course, without costings.
I'll put that question to you both. Mr Wells, would you do that in government? Agree to set up such an office?
Yeah, we announced that. We announced that earlier in the week with oversight from the Auditor-General.
Would you agree to it?
He announced it without costing. There's a classic. He announced again a policy without costing, expecting to return.
Would you agree to doing that?
We obviously will look at transparency. We're the people who gave the Auditor-General powers. We're the people who actually brought in this Treasury costing.
Yes?
Of course, we'll look at anything that's transparent.
All right, can I move on, gentlemen?
We agree to do it.
Can I move on?
Without costing. Like everything else, you promised to do something without a cost. Are there 10 accountants, 10 economists, 20 accountants, 20 economists? Tell us your figure.
Give them to the Auditor-General. Are you happy to give them to the Auditor-General on Monday?
Gentlemen, this is not the Parliament, and I'm not the Speaker, but can I ask for some order, please? Mr Lenders, what's Victoria's debt at the moment?
Victoria's debt at the moment is in the order of $8 billion, and that is about 2.5% of our economy. And Josephine, Japan at the moment has 200%, Germany 140%. Our debt went down every year in Victoria till the global financial crisis, where we dealt with shoring up jobs, and now it's coming down, as you see in the pre-election budget update. It's $159 million less than it was at budget time.
So is that the total debt?
That's the debt you said what Victoria has now.
Look, that is more spin and rhetoric from the Treasurer. The amount that's been forecast in the budget papers of total public sector net debt is $31.7 billion. And the interest bill on that is $3.2 billion per year. That's what the figure is. And for you to come out and say $8 billion, you're not giving the full set of figures. And let me go a step further. And let me just go to a full step. When we went to Treasury the other day and had the PBU update, we asked for that figure, the latest figure on total public sector net debt, and we will not get that figure before the election. And I'm insisting that you have that figure released because the people of Victoria need to know what debt is before we go into a vote.
Now, can we, because we haven't got a lot of time left, what do you say to that, Mr. Lenders?
Well, what I say firstly is, every year we've been in government, our debt has come down till the global financial crisis, where we invested in jobs. Well, read the 10,028 pages of budget papers, you might learn something. That is fact. And we have protected jobs. We saw job growth last year, 97,000 new jobs, and since the GFC has eased, the debt's coming down. The public pre-election budget update figures show that. Mr Wells knows that, but he's on a scare campaign, and his leader is promising billions of dollars in expenditure without even acknowledging it. Mr Wells, what have you actually promised? What have you actually promised so far to spend in this election? Can you tell the Victorian people that? I say it's $4.4 billion recurrent, and it's more than that in capital. Can you say what your leaders promised?
Let me pick up on this point. Can I just pick on this point?
Mr Lenders,
you can't answer what your leaders promised.
But you've said $17 billion one day, then you say $8 billion. Last night you said $9 billion.
What do you say you've promised?
All over the place,
can I just
and no one understands.
You say you have promised. You won't give it to Treasury.
Mr Lenders and Mr Wells, we're running out of time. One very quick question from both of you. Stamp duty cuts, are we expecting any from your side of politics? Any announcement on stamp duty? Just a simple yes or no, we're running out of time. Well,
the Premier announced very modest cuts for seniors yesterday, and any equation on stamp duty cuts needs to be, it's an important source of revenue to pay for the police, the hospitals, the schools, and the Premier will make further announcements during his campaign on whatever we plan to do.
I really hope so.
All right, we have
you
to
hope so.
We have to
I really hope so.
You don't cost.
Mr Lenders and Mr Wells, thank you for coming into Stateline.
Thank you.